Academy episode number 6.
Because they got a smudge on my steering wheel, they detailed my car inside and out, and they delivered it to my place of business. Who does that? That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that wins you not just 5 stars, 500 of those 5 stars, because that's the customer, that's your anchoring point. That's your linchpin to everything that means anything to you online.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to the matching audio podcast of the Town Hall Academy video on managing a negative online review. This is Carm Capriotto, your host. As you know, we take a single topic each week with an industry panel, and we broadcast live Fridays at noon Eastern on my webinar platform and on Facebook. You can learn all about connecting at the URL remarkableresults.biz/townhall. See the show notes for this podcast, Town Hall Academy, at remarkableresults.biz/A006. There you'll find in-depth bios on my guests. Now, I understand that not everyone has the time to sit in front of a video screen or to be on Facebook. Now, that's the power of podcasting, the digital audio broadcasts. That's so portable and easy to find. Now, every Academy session is on my website learning page, and now you have the additional resource of having the Town Hall as a podcast. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Spreaker, and more. And if you have my iOS or Android app, you'll find the Academy episodes there also. I always guarantee powerful learning nuggets in each episode. See, it's your peers who put on this tutoring and share their ideas, best practices, and passion on what works for them and where they've had their own successes and challenges. Mostly, we're here to spread wisdom and experience for the entire automotive aftermarket. The Academy Podcast, another powerful resource of educational content inside the Remarkable Results Radio brand. Use it to improve your knowledge base and your personal success. Here's a cool idea. Schedule a lunch and learn with your team. Listen or watch an Academy episode. Cool idea. The library of episodes grows each week. Now listen to How to Manage a Negative Online Review with Kathleen Long, VP of Customer Success and GM of the Shop Network at RepairPal. We also have Cecil Bullard, President of the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence, and shop owner Bill Nalu from Interstate Auto Care in Madison Heights, Michigan. Now, here we go. Glad to have you here. Let's introduce our lady first, Kathleen Long, VP of Customer Success and the General Manager of the Shop Network at RepairPal. One of Kathleen's focuses is sharing results on their constant surveying of the automotive customer. Cecil Bullard. Cecil Bullard is president of the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. He's a trainer and business coach in the automotive aftermarket, working closely with service professionals. And you probably get your share of, hey, Cecil, I just got a negative review. What am I going to do, right?
I've written many replies to those reviews.
So I've got an industry individual from Kathleen's perspective with RepairPal, Cecil as a business coach, and now Mr. Nalu, who's president of Interstate Auto Care in Madison Heights, Michigan. 30 years in the business, Bill. You don't look a day over 29, though, I have to say that. And Bill collaborates with industry professionals in building today's high-tech, old-fashioned customer service system. He's a passionate customer service guy. He serves on many industry boards, and it's great to have you here. He's pretty much a regular on the on these forums because he's got so many great things to say. So perfect, we're ready. How do you manage a negative online review? Couple of things. We've got a lot of great talking points among us all, and I guess I'm going to start by saying this, team, and chime in. Let's have a great conversation. Bad reviews happen. Is a bad review necessarily a bad thing?
Absolutely not. Bad review is not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of shop owners are perfectionists, and that's good because you want a perfectionist working on your car. And so one bad review feels awful. But a bad review is nothing more than information that you can either use to change something in your business, information about the type of customer you should be looking for in the first place, information about how people feel about what you're doing in your business. So in that sense, assuming that, that was a real customer and not the shop across the street leaving a fake review for you. The information's all good.
So how do we know it's a fake review? Does it just smell like a fake review, Kathleen?
Well, the great thing about most shops is they're using shop management systems. They know who their customers are. They know what repair orders they've completed in the last week or month or what have you. And so when people start talking about, vehicles or service experiences or whatever, they've got a data source to tie back to see whether that was actually a legitimate customer.
Got it. Bill, have you ever gotten a fake review?
We may have years ago. And I guess the way I've always handled it, and like Kathleen is saying, is because of the fact if you've got decent data to pull off of, in many cases, if you're working with a Kukui or a Repair Pal, you can establish whether in fact this is a fake review, and sort of go back online. You still have to answer to it. And in many cases, what I've done in the past is I would have really appreciated had you given me the opportunity to handle this personally. But since we're doing this online, let's have this conversation online. And to piggyback on what Kathleen was saying, it's probably the biggest blessing to a business to have an opportunity to be. This is one of the things that drives me every day. One of the things that gets me up in the morning. I look back now over all these years. The best customers I have are the ones that have raised me, the ones that have sort of had to tap me on the back of the head. Hey, say, dummy. I want you to understand. I had just a quick story. I had a realtor years ago. She's about 4'0". She comes in one day. She says, I want to talk to you next time you come in. And I had been taking some time off. I don't know what the story was. She said, why are you not here anymore? I said, well, I have a manager. I have a assistant manager. They're handling it. They're good people. They're handling it. She says, why are you not here anymore? I said, well, because, and so the third, she says to me, you're not listening to me, are you? She said, I don't have a problem with them. I want to see you. I want to come in and see you and talk to you. What's going on? And it sort of got me thinking about what this is when a customer feels comfortable enough to share this with you. And to me, if you have a customer base, whether you're doing this online or whether you're doing this in person, if you have folks that are too shy or too intimidated by you losing it, if something went wrong today on the customer service front, if you have that kind of a customer base where you have to isolate yourself from the bad news, to me, that's trouble.
It's so interesting on how you say that, Bill. Cecil, here's a customer reaching out and wanting to, have a strong relationship with want to see you behind the desk, Bill. That's the thing, right? Going to what you said before about you having to write some of these reviews, give me an idea of how you're helping shop owners recover from these. What do you say?
First of all, a bad review is inevitable. If you're a shop that's been in business for 10, 12, 15 years, you're not going to make everybody happy. It's virtually impossible. So number one, take it seriously, but don't take it personal. Okay? Those are two different things. And I think most shop owners take it personal right from the start. The second thing is, whatever you write the first time to put the review, don't put that online. Let it sit for 24 hours and come back to it and say, take all the personal stuff out of it. We have a tendency, I see shop owners trying to attack the person that's writing a bad review because they're taking this very seriously. And this is my life. This is my baby. And you're telling me my baby is ugly. And it's very personal for me. You need to take it. This is an opportunity, number one, to call the customer if there really is a customer and see what went wrong and try to fix it. That's your first task. And if you can fix it. And we've had lots of people pull their reviews off and change them. We went from a 1-star to a 5-star by calling that customer, finding out what it was going to take to make them happy and making them happy. Now, I'm also the guy that says don't give the farm away, because there are people that are out there just nasty, mean. They got to write something nasty, and don't give the farm away to somebody that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you.
You're really saying that someone may be writing a negative review because they want something ultimately.
Oh yeah, there are people that do that. I guarantee you that there are people that's what they do, and they've been rewarded for that because they write a nasty review and someone says, "Okay, I'll give you your money back," and then the review goes away. I think also one of the really key factors when you're writing an answer to one of those reviews is to use that as the time to talk about your unique selling proposition, why you do what you do for your customers. Often what happened is you brought the wrong person in, you don't have what they want, and you've tried to still do business with that person. And really, there are lots of people out there that want what you have. It just wasn't this person. So if you talk about, we do this, we do an inspection and we charge for that because our technicians are, qualified, because we have to pay them. And we know that it's the best thing to do a good inspection on the car. It's the least expensive thing to fix a customer's car. And that's what we do for our customers, right? You can really turn this around as an opportunity to talk about your business and what you do, and apologize. I'm sorry the person had this experience. I'm really sorry that, we were not able to make them happy, but here's why we do what we do. And we do this for our customers.
One of the things I wrote down was the 24-hour incubation holding period. Boy, in my entire life, Kathleen, I want to ask this of you. I learned when I joined the world of corporate, and the email wasn't to my favor or liking, or kind of like an online review, a negative online review, and I responded within 3 minutes. It was not good for my career or my leadership abilities. So what do you coach your customers in telling them how long should they wait before they reply?
Yeah, that's a great question. So depends on, like Cecil said, if you're taking it personally, then, definitely waiting a period of time before you reply is important. But I also coach people to handle things offline and online. When you've got an online review, you have two audiences for that content. When you respond offline to the customer that actually had the problem, you're performing customer service for that customer. You're solving their problem. The online part is really for the public at large. It's not for that customer. That customer you're going to handle by calling them. You're going to handle by emailing them, however, you've established to get in touch with that customer. And you're going to say, here's what I can or can't do for you. The online response is going to be for everyone else who might see that review to know what you're about, what your shop's about, the kinds of customers that you want, and how you respond to problematic situations. In some cases, these things aren't even your fault, right? So we've had storming like crazy here in Northern California. So someone went into one of my shops a week ago, and it just so happened that at the point they pulled up their car, the entire block lost power. So the gentleman running the shop, now he has no SMS. The phone lines were down. Cell service was spotty. He had not a whole lot he could do, and this was just a show up. It wasn't an appointment. And so he had not so much he could do to run an estimate on the person's problem. A lot of his equipment was down, so forth. So that person went away and wrote a negative review of his business saying, I went there, I was in dire straits with my car, and he couldn't fix it. The power was out. Okay. So he contacts that customer, or potential customer, actually, because he didn't get work done that day, right? It wasn't even a customer at this point. And he says to him, hey, the power's back on, right? We'd love to show you what we can do when our tools and equipment are working. One. And then two, he paused, as, was recommended, ran it by his partner in business to say, hey, does this reflect our business, our mission, what we want to say in response to this? And privately, he also offered the guy a 15% discount to come back in public, again, because he doesn't want everyone seeing this and thinking this is the way to generate a discount. He didn't reflect the discount in the online discourse.
That was the Mother Nature discount. What a shame that Mother Nature had to come in and put her hands in our pocket. Cecil, you may have said, pick your customer, or if you didn't say that, I wrote that down. It's almost like what Kathleen was saying. Here it is, possibly when that person came in, power's on, things are running. You may have not chosen to do business with that person because you would have sensed, come on, someone that is not going to cut your brake because your power went out?
I think one of the most important things for any shop is to determine who their customer should be and who they can best serve. And some of that, I know there are consultants that will say, take everybody, serve everybody, be a yes company. I'm not that guy. I say, determine who you want to do business with, figure out who that customer is and what they want, and then give that to them in spades. And that, unfortunately, won't allow you to serve everyone the same. And so if you are a relationship shop where you're building relationships, your price is going to be a little higher. You use the best quality parts. You have a better warranty. If the discount guy shows up at your door and you bring him in, you do not have what he wants. And therefore, you really take a chance of, things don't mesh, and this guy's not going to be happy because I tried to give him something that I don't give. And so I think you really need to be careful about who you try to bring into your business that fits your business. And there are lots of customers out there that go to Walmart, and there are lots of customers that go to Macy's, and there are lots of customers that go to, Men's Warehouse, all the way through.
I've always believed that, Cecil, even, when I was in corporate America, owned my own business, that you just have to say to yourself, you can't do business with everyone. And based on your model, your pricing, your quality, everything that you have, there's a customer that's going to gravitate to you. And you can't do business with everyone. Bill, does saying sorry to the customer work?
As long as it's done authentically, and as long as you understand that you can only use that's a one-trick pony. You can only use that the first time. The second time, they're probably not going to be so understanding. Kathleen said something so important earlier. She said, it's not his fault to do that. While I agree with that wholeheartedly, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, who's the person that's responsible. And so I say to my fellow shop owners, you are responsible already as an individual. The fact that you have your own business means that you're already responsible in being able to pay your bills and being able to show up on time and do all the things that a responsible individual has to do to remain in business. Put a hyphen between response and able, and understand that you have to become response able. You have to be able to respond to these things in a very appropriate manner. And so, like we were saying earlier, this is not an emotional thing and it's nothing personal, but you have to take on the responsibility of making this your personal mission. If you don't do it, then you better damn well have somebody who does. You better have a people person that absolutely loves this, that absolutely invites this every single day, that every customer that's walking in and out of the business, when they come in and you can clearly, like Cecil was saying, if you see that you have somebody that's clearly price conscious, that price is everything, is it better to have a conversation now about, Mr. Customer, how much risk are you willing to take on for a lower price? If you don't start having that conversation at the counter, then you're going to be having this conversation online. So that's the time to handle that business, is before it turns into an online disaster.
Kathleen, with all the research that you do, what's the stat, if you have one off the top of your head, that says when I, as a consumer, type in auto repair of Maintown, USA, and I look at the Google page and there's some negative reviews, what's my likelihood of, if I see a negative review in the top listing, that I just go to the next in order in Google?
Yeah, so there is lots of research actually that shows that if a business has many reviews and they're all, say, 5-star, whatever the top rating is, and there aren't any negative reviews, people viewing those don't trust them. They don't want to do, look, if you've only got 5 reviews, then whatever. But if you've got hundreds of reviews and they're all 5-star, they said, oh, this is a business that games. This isn't possible. They'd rather do business with a 4.5-star shop than a 5-star shop because they can see the difference. The other thing is that as human beings, we're biologically tuned to the negative, right? That's what kept us alive. Oh, tiger chasing me, I better run, right? But now, if you've literally a business with hundreds of reviews and you've got 1 or 2 bad ones, and you're hyper-focused on this bad thing that happened, you're missing all the things that you're doing right in the positive reviews. The positive reviews are equally a source of great information for you. What do you do well so you can do more of that, so that you can make it part of your mission, your focus, you can absorb that and continue to reflect that. And that'll actually give you some detail about how to respond to your negative review. It tells you who you are and what you do well. And so I think, paying attention to both is important. If you're running your business right, you're going to have way more good stuff than bad stuff. And they're all data points that you should pay attention to, not just the negative ones.
You said in your talking points to me such a thing as a one-off review. What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that a lot of the businesses that I deal with that are, shops are calling me and they're saying, oh my God, this review is terrible. What do I do? And I say, okay, yeah, you have 198 great reviews and your 199th review, not so great. And sometimes the review they're upset about is literally like a 3-star review. It's not a 0 star. It's just that, again, shop folks are perfectionists, I found, and they really want that perfect score. But in reality, that doesn't look authentic to someone who's viewing reviews. And we only do verified customer reviews on our site. So it's not like, GQ Public can just go post a review. So we're only surveying customers of shops, no one else. This is all real, authentic customer information. And customers know that not everyone walks away from a business satisfied. And so then again, it's your opportunity to show, look, if you come into my shop and you have a problem, which is sometimes going to happen, this is how I'm going to respond to your problem. This is what you can expect if you and I have a conflict. That's what you're modeling out in public for your potential customer.
Bill, have you ever received a review from a customer that you know really well who's been with you a long time and it was, say, a 3-star, and you feel this guy's loved you to death forever?
My favorite ones are the 1-stars. The reason they're my favorite is because, and I'm proud to say that, 99% of them are 5 stars, but that 1 star is all I need to get my crew back to balance, to be able to say, this is symptomatic of a systems problem that we have. That we've had, 3 in the last month that have complained about this issue. We had, I think, 3 reviews a month ago, and they were on various different forums. And they were basically speaking to the fact this is a great shop. They're really good guys. The price was a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be. And what is that really saying? What it's saying is that at the counter where it mattered most, we didn't break down the features and the benefits to that customer properly to the point where that would be a foregone conclusion. The fact of the matter is the customer left, was happy with the service, but in their mind, we hadn't changed their mind about what they were buying, that they were buying warranty, they were buying quality, they were buying reliability, integrity, all of those things. All of those things that are above and beyond the price model in the paradigm as far as the totem pole. That price has to be, if you're a quality business, has to be rightfully so at the very bottom of that totem pole. And so this is a perfect opportunity to bring that situation. And the other part of that is, what is more authentic than sort of airing your laundry online and being able to handle that situation in a satisfactory way? Maybe not even necessarily coming to agreement with the customer, but at least the world knowing where you stand on a given situation. And I've done that many times before, where I've just gone in there and just said, I'm sorry that I wasn't, and sometimes you just have to humble yourself. You have to say to somebody is, clearly we failed in being able to communicate to you what 99% of our other clients see, that this is a value proposition that we're making and that they make that choice every single day. I'm sorry that we weren't clear enough with you. I'd like to invite you back for us to be able to do that. Maybe it's a free oil change, maybe a car wash, whatever it might be. But when you put that out there, like Kathleen says, this is gold out there, because this legitimizes how you are as a business owner, not just when somebody's paying you money and you're smiling in their face, but when the pedal really hits the metal, when things are really tough. How do you respond to that situation then?
I got to say that what Bill just said and is so important, and it's not just what he said, it's the way that he thinks. Many shop owners, they get that one, they have 199 great reviews. People are accepting their price. People love them. They get that one review, and the guy says, we were too expensive, and they instantly think, I've got to lower my price. We're getting too expensive. What Bill said was, I didn't do a good job at the counter, or we did not do our job at the counter helping that customer understand what the benefits of doing business were with us. And that's where we have to be. We have to be at the counter, amazing at helping the customer understand that here's the things that we can do for you and that we do for you. And that's why the price is the price. And then when you're matching the right customer with that, and then you go back to what Kathleen said, now you've got all these great reviews and you have people reading and they're saying, wow, the price was a little more, but man, the service was great and the warranty is fantastic. And now you're attracting the customer that you want because that's what's out there. And they're reading those reviews and they're saying, man, Okay, so their price might be a little higher than the guy down the street, but man, they wash the car, they give us a loaner car, they give us the best brake pads available, and they stand behind their work with a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Shop owners, which I deal with my entire life, and so does pretty much everybody here, often don't think correctly in this way. They look at that one person who's complaining or that one bad review, and they don't think about the 199 great reviews or people that came in and that were very satisfied, and they go the wrong way and do the wrong thing. Be who you're going to be and be the best.
You probably know, as a service manager of a shop owner, when that person leaves, if you're about ready to get a negative review, it almost seems like totally up to you.
I could probably point out 90% of the people that are going to write a bad review when they walk out the door. Bill said, have that conversation in the beginning with this customer if they're going to be a customer. And if you don't have what they want, you better have that conversation about the risk and that mismatch. And you're really better off at that point saying, look, there's a shop down the street that seems like it's going to fit you perfectly. Here's their phone number. Here, use my phone, go down there and get an appointment, than taking that person in and disappointing that person. I work with lots of business owners and managers. That person comes in and we get that feeling right from the beginning. The hair on the back of our neck stands up. And we still think, I better take that person in because we don't have enough cars today or whatever it is. And it always ends up going south. If you feel that person is leaving and you ignore that unhappy, you better do something then before they go online and write a review. Have that conversation. And it might be uncomfortable, but so what? That's my job.
So many things going through my mind right now. Systematic. Bill, you brought up the word. It sometimes leads back to something we may not be doing right. Maybe you don't change, but you're in a constant or continual improvement stage in any business. Cecil, how often do you see that some of the reviews that are really legit and real go back to quality procedures and systems?
Oh, everything's related to procedures, processes in your business. If you have a good process, I talk about marketing as a process, defining your customer, setting your budget, determining what your materials need to be so that you bring the right person in your door. That's a process. At the counter, how you talk to that person on the phone, whether or not you price on the phone or don't price on the phone, that's a process. Inspections. Do you do a good, thorough inspection? I believe that we owe every customer a good, thorough inspection on their car, but then I need a process to follow that through so that the tech does an estimating process and the service advisor does an estimating process. And then there's a sales process that really begins with my marketing and ends with that customer leaving my shop, having written a check, and smiling and saying, I'd like to go back there because I had a great experience. Everything is... And the funny thing is, you either consciously define those processes and work on those processes, or they happen organically. And organic is not good for your business. Let
me ask a question about an individual leaving. The transaction is done. There are apps today that allow people to walk away with, hey, would you give me a review? Give me your number. Somehow they get a text. And they get led to a site because you sense and feel that this was just a great transaction. Is that a trend today that you're really setting yourself up for a review?
I think you have to ask, because out of 100 clients, you may be lucky enough to get maybe 15 or 20 of them to leave you a review, good, bad, or indifferent. So I think you have to, and in today's world, here's the other thing: is this intergenerational things going on here. Baby boomers and Gen Xers, we're less prone to put to answer some of these surveys. Millennials, oh man, you just ask a millennial their opinion. I mean, I'm getting ready. I have a gentleman that came in yesterday, picked up his vehicle. This guy called us up, pricing out an engine, and so 10 minutes into the phone call, this is a month ago. Turns out it doesn't need an engine; it needs an oil change. So, of course, who do you think is this biggest hero in this world now, right? So I invited him to do a video with me on Facebook to help me explain this to my other customers. But when they call in, this is the most dangerous thing you can do is to be pricing out things that you have no idea need to be done. on this vehicle. And so you use those customers, those younger clients are going to be your bread and butter for tomorrow. I'm almost speechless at the potential of this. You could eliminate your advertising budget and just put it into customer retention alone and grow by leaps and bounds by just doing this what I'm talking about here. Just basically following what you already know, and that is what does it take to give somebody decent service, the kind of service that you require? I'll just give you a quick example. The other day we were at a restaurant. As it turns out, my wife finds a piece of latex glove in her dish. So the manager comes over, my wife summons the manager, and we tell him this. And this poor man was so underqualified for this job. He might be great at everything else, but he shrunk. I mean, he was ashamed of himself for this happening. And so to me is, who hasn't made a mistake? I'm the least perfect business owner in the world. But what I say to folks is when they say, well, what happens? How do you guys solve this if there's a problem? I say to them, if. What do you mean if? When there's a problem. When there's a problem. Okay? And I can give you 50 other people in my database. Right? You've got 3 people in the shop right now that we've had a mistake with. A smudge on the door, something on the carpeting. When, not if. So be prepared for it. Have a plan on how you're going to provide what Fred Meyer years ago taught me, the Meyer supermarket chain guy, the predecessor to a Walmart even, and that is to provide aggressive hospitality, to go above and beyond what is called for. And this doesn't have to be freebies. Just do something that would wow the customer, to be able to say, man, because they got a smudge on my steering wheel, they detailed my car inside and out, and they delivered it to my place of business. Who does that? That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that wins you not just 5 stars, 500 of those 5 stars, because that's the customer, that's your anchoring point. That's your linchpin to everything that means anything to you online. And
it helps create culture in your business, the right culture, because you're creating these stories of superior service and your people understand that's who you are. It creates this whole unbelievable culture, not just with your customers, but certainly with my staff, because they see that's what we do. It's amazing. If you do that right, it's amazing.
What you're saying is it'll make us better if we let it.
Absolutely. I think the reason why Bill's example was so compelling is because he talked about getting smudges in the car and then, super detailing it. And that's the biggest thing that you can do, is that your recovery should match the problem. Well, he didn't say, well, next time you come in, I'll give you a 20% discount because I left a smudge on your car. He fixed the smudge. And I think, and above and beyond, obviously. But I think that's important, is remember that the most important thing you can do is root cause solve the problem. Right? Not throw a gift basket into the mix. It's root cause solve the problem is so super important. And then if you go above and beyond in that reservicing experience, great. But people want to know that if they have a problem with their car, which represents their freedom in the world, that's how they get places. If they have a problem, there's a bring back, there's an issue, you're going to take care of that specific problem. That's why they brought the car to you in the first place.
And there's a very important point. This is probably more important than everything else is we have to say to the customer, not only do I want you to give me this feedback, I need you to give me this feedback. Because if you don't give me this feedback, if you, the one who's closest to me, the one who's been doing business with me for all these years, if you don't feel comfortable to be able to tell me when we did wrong somewhere, somehow, how in the world am I going to be able to provide better service, evolutionarily better service than what we've provided now? And so you have to, not entice is the wrong word, you sort of have to empower your clients, your best clients, to be that group that feels comfortable enough to be able to tell you when you're not on your game that day.
And I think there's a really important concept here also. I need to be meeting with my staff on a regular basis and discussing these things so that they don't happen later. I mean, I know there's going to be a smudge. I know that we're not going to fix the noise properly sometime. But we should be discussing the good reviews and the bad reviews and saying, how do we change our process so that cars leave without smudges, so that we can deliver this unbelievable customer service and not have these problems. If we're not addressing that with our staff, we're not keeping them focused. I mean, earlier Bill said this is such a great opportunity to bring our staff kind of back in the fold and say, okay, we've had some problems. Now let's see what's going on. Let's see if we can't take care of that. I need to be doing that. That's leadership in my business constantly with my staff so that they understand who we are. It goes back to that kind of creating that culture that I want in my business, a culture of excellence and a culture of taking care of our clients.
Here I'm a car owner, and I'm at one of your shops, and I've gotten my work done. I'm paying the bill. As I interview shop owners, and I'm this perpetual student, I always want to learn, and I'm always hearing these stories about the end is as important as the beginning, walking through, take them to their car, open the door. And if I was the service manager advisor and I saw that smudge, because I am looking for the final level of perfection in the transaction, it's not that I put a device on in the car now it rolls forward, is that it's about the end. You are absolutely helping to ensure, number one, that your processes and systems are right, because we've gone over them ad nauseum internally, but you're also ensuring a good review. So that's what I think. And Cecil, from a coach's perspective, I know you bring people into you're always teaching. In fact, aren't you teaching a vision?
I am.
What are you saying about this end? The end of the transaction. What are you telling people?
I'll have 54 service advisors in the class in Seattle tomorrow. And I think the end is as important as the beginning. It's all process. When the customer comes in and I give them their bill, I can't just take their money. I have to re-solidify what they bought and help them understand why they paid what they paid, so that when they do walk away, they feel good about it. And I have this little referral process thing that I do where at the end, I ask the customer, I say, if we did a good job, do you mind referring us to your family and friends? And I ask them for a promise. And at the very end, the promise is, if you feel that you can't say to a family member or a friend, hey, go take your car to Cecil's shop, will you please call me personally and let me know? Because whatever it is, I want to take care of it. Now, you shake that guy's hand and he walks away. He's not thinking about the $1,300 he spent. He's thinking about, here's somebody who really cares about my business. And I'll go back to what Bill said. Is the person at the counter responsible for making sure that spot isn't there and making sure that the car got fixed and that the service was done right and the customer feels good about it? And if you're not doing that at the end, the excuse I hear constantly is, I don't have time. Well, why aren't you having staff meetings to discuss your problems and your process? We don't have time. Well, why aren't you going out to the car in the beginning and looking at the car and talking to the customer? I don't have time. Well, at the end, why aren't you going back through the work order and rebuilding value? Oh, I don't have time, Cecil. That's a BS excuse. Our customers deserve our time. That's what they're paying for. And we have to make the time to make sure that our customers feel good about what they do, because it's everything.
You said something that was so important. How many of us here are Seinfeld fans? You watch Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember when Elaine had the boyfriends that were sponge-worthy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So with this in mind, are you referral worthy? I don't know who it was that taught me this. It was one of the sages in my life said, it's one thing for a customer to do business with you and they love you and they've loved you for 10, 15 years. But it's a whole other level if you can get them to refer, if you can get them to send you their really, really picky brother-in-law or sister-in-law or whatever it might be, because now if they're willing to trust you with their family, you know that that's a whole other level. Are you worthy of that? Because again, it's one thing, and this is what this speaks to is that if I'm dealing with you, we haven't had any problems, I've got to really, really trust that Kathleen is going to take care of my brother-in-law, Mac, the way she's taking care of me. And because if I don't, I'm going to hear this at Christmas time or Thanksgiving dinner. I'm never going to hear about the end of it about how, oh, man, I went to this guy and this guy was horrible. Now all of a sudden it becomes a family issue. And so my challenge to my fellow shop owners is you've got to ask, you've got to say to that client as they're walking out is, we really, really appreciate your business and I consider you a great customer. How can I incentivize you to help me find more customers like you? Are there other people like you that can use the services and the quality that you receive today? Are there others you can give me? And we're working on the out of value side of it. We're working on, because I'm on this National Dealer Advisory Council, we're working on ways to systemize that. And I'm challenging RepairPal, and I'm a proud client of theirs. I'm trying to get us to be able to do more of that, to be able to send that email and have something there to where maybe they can fan it out to their Facebook page or their friends in their network, and have a way to electronically link them together so that when that referred client comes in the door, now we know, hey, this person was referred by Kathleen, and there's some kind of an electronic key that connect. Can you imagine if we could do that? That's where we're headed. This is where I'm hoping we're going.
So you get a bad review. Cecil, do you look up in the company manual as to what the process is to deal with it?
Oh, I think you have a process, absolutely. And I think you should have a process for dealing with a bad review. And it starts with don't take it personal, but take it seriously. First call research the customer, call the customer, find out, and don't offer a bunch of crap. And also don't take accountability right from the start with the customer. Don't say, it's my fault that you had this problem. Say, I'm sorry you didn't have the experience. How can I help you, and what can I do for you? Because what I found is that, you said earlier in the very beginning, you said, is it okay to say you're sorry? Yeah, I think 99% of the people that are writing a bad review want you to just say, I apologize. That's it. They don't need their car detailed, although I think you should detail their car because it's the right thing to do, and it sets you above and beyond. You have a process, and part of that process for me is write the nasty review that you would write. This guy's an idiot, he's a moron, blah, blah, blah. And then wait 24 hours and go back and take all that crap out, because now I've got it out, right? Now I can sit down and logically, without emotion, I can say, I'm sorry you had the experience. Here's how we do what we do for our customers, and how can I help you, Mr. Customer, so that this is a better thing. And I might do that publicly, but I'm certainly doing that privately also at the same time.
Yeah. And many times, Cecil, you tell me if you agree with this, many times what they're asking is a lot less than what you have in your imagination what they're asking.
Always.
Oh, this guy's asking the world.
90, yeah.
He's asking for an apology. He's asking for you to acknowledge that a mistake was made and that you're going to be a better business owner as a result of that your crew learned something today about what happened to this person.
We actually had an instance where a guy called me and he said, we had a noise, and my guy said it was the flywheel, and it's on an Audi, and it was a $2,500 job. And now we did that and it didn't fix the problem. And so, Cecil, now we've got to tear the engine apart, and it's going to need an engine. It's a $10,000 motor. What do? I said, give him the $2,300. If he, be willing to say, we didn't fix your problem, here's your $2,300 back. And if he walks away, he walks away. And that's why you charge what you charge in the beginning, so that you can do that. And when he called the customer, I told him, I said, ask the customer, what can I do for you? And you know what the customer said? Would you please just diagnose the noise for no charge? So we ended up getting both things, and all we gave away was a couple hours of diagnostic. Yeah. And we were ready to give away $2,300 to this person. And this customer now goes online, writes a great review, hey, they found the problem, they took care of it for me. You need to ask them. I always ask the customer, what is it that I can do for you that will make you happy? What can I do, right? And it almost always is less than what I'm willing to do.
Kathleen, I have a question for you regarding your RepairPal process. I mean, I know you vet operations. You won't let them into your program unless they qualify to certain areas. Do you look to see if they have a process to deal with negative reviews?
Yeah, absolutely. And we also coach people about that. So when, again, we're doing only verified reviews, and we moderate those. We look for bad language and, stuff like that, because we want the things that appear on our website to be professional. So we don't moderate and keep away, negative comments. We just want to make sure that they're tasteful and respectful. So when a shop owner gets a bad review, we've seen it already. We contact them. We say, hey, here's an opportunity to respond. And we can work with shop owners if they'd like our assistance to help craft that response. Where things sound like something really went awry, then we may dig in a little more, get some of our automotive experts involved to help them sort through the issue. In some cases, look, it's the shop's fault. They made a mistake. In other cases, it's not. In other cases, it's someone came in and got some tires and then the air conditioning stopped working and they're blaming the shop, right? I mean, that happens. And so what we advise shop owners is be empathetic to how the customer's feeling and what their point of view is. But I always say, if you're going to apologize, do it authentically. Don't say you're sorry for things you're not sorry for. And don't take responsibility for things that aren't your fault, right? You can still be empathetic that this customer is frustrated that their car's breaking down all over the place without taking the full accountability for the set of problems that they're experiencing. And then figuring out, saying, okay, now you've vented your feelings, Mr. Customer. Here's how we can make a plan to go forward. Or if it's not a great customer for you, here's an option I have of you going somewhere else, or how you might want to resolve this problem. And I think that's perfectly fine.
Kathleen, to add something to what you just said here, and I say this again, as a RepairPal client, one of the tools that we use a lot of times is the call tracking number that we have that records the phone calls coming in.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
a huge training opportunity, because what happens in that situation is we had one issue where customer felt disillusioned. Heck, we plumb dropped it. He thought it was going to be a half hour to do the oil change. It turned out to be a 45-minute to an hour situation. You know what? Frankly, the oil change takes us a half hour, and it's a half hour for the courtesy check. Our service writer failed to failed to explain to the customer that this isn't simply an oil change. This is a 3,000-mile inspection that's going to possibly reveal safety issues and maintenance issues, and the customer didn't have that kind of time to do that. We found that out on the call. On the call-in, the service writer said, yeah, that should take us about a half an hour. And so there's a perfect situation where that's a symptom that needed to be solved systemically. And so we went right back and said, so that was what prompted me to now not only do we have call tracking numbers from RepairPal and Kakui and Google, I added a call recording system that records everything coming in and going out, so that we can go over the sales inspections over the phones. I spend many of my waking hours going over those things and building at some point in time, maybe building a short course on when things go wrong and when things go right. And I would say to the coaches and to you guys, and that is that maybe you may want to have some kind of a MP3 file of good calls, bad calls, and a little example of how things go wrong, basically like a timeline of what happened here. It's kind of like taking a fast framed image and splicing it down and saying, look at how quickly that dissolved. You lost right at the hello. You thought that your first impression was when you picked up the phone and said it, thank you for calling Interstate Auto Care. Your first impression was online. Your first impression is what people are hearing and seeing online about who you are. And that one star could be your best friend if it was converted properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been managing, contact center employees for years. And a very simple coach's trick that doesn't take very much time, again, for those shops that say they don't have time to listen to all their calls and so forth. I just pick 5 calls at random for each employee, ship them to them as MP3 files, download them, send them to them, and I give them a little checklist and I say, how do you feel you did in this call? What went right? What went wrong? If you were to do the call over, is there anything you would change? I don't even have to listen to the calls, because sometimes just hearing yourself, you're like, oh my goodness, did I really say that? Or, wow, I sounded really defensive, or whatever. It's a great training tool. And then to your point, if you have a very specific incident that's happened, you're pulling all the records that you can, from the phone call to understanding what happened during the service experience, your diagnostic notes, your repair order, whatever it is. Only going to help you to figure out what in your process went wrong, what you can adjust or change, who was involved, who you need to talk to, and how to fix that going forward.
I think Bill said something that's really, really important, and it really begins with creating that expectation, which certainly starts online, but it's followed up with the call and what you say to that customer. And if you're able to track that and pay attention to that, you can gain so much knowledge and make those small adjustments that are going to make your customer happy out the end. But I will tell you, years and years ago, I started working in my father's shop in the late 70s. And back then, cars broke, and you didn't have to be, you could be a great mechanic and fix the cars, and they were lined up. You didn't, we didn't even have a Yellow Pages ad because we didn't need it. Today, if somebody's not paying attention to the business and these finer points, you're not going to survive. Or if you survive, you're only going to survive. You're not going to thrive. And if you want a thriving business, somebody has to be doing what Bill's doing. And that is, hey, let me listen to some of these calls. And you don't have to listen to every call. I can randomly select 5 a week. And it's going to tell me what's going on in my company. And I can pay attention to my comments, and I can survey my customers myself. There's nothing wrong with getting on the phone and calling 10 people that came in this week and saying, how did we do? I'm the owner, and I'm really curious. I want to make sure that my staff took great care of you. And you'll get so much positive feedback, but that one negative thing that happens will help you look at yourself differently. But somebody has to pay attention. You can't run your business like it's 1975. You got to run your business like it's 2020. And if you're not on it, you're gonna work very hard for very little. If you're on it, it's amazing what your business can provide for you and your community and your employees. We have people that are thriving and doing fantastically, and we have other people that are basically using every excuse they can to say, this is why I'm not making money. You got to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to look at which customers are providing you what kind of feedback. If your long-term customers are all saying sweet things to you because you've got a relationship, and all these brand new customers are, a little disgruntled with you, then you've got an issue in terms of how you're taking care of people who are brand new to your business and who don't deeply know you. And so it's figuring that out and sorting through those details too are important. So if you're going to make the calls like you were suggesting, pick a couple of customers that's their first time in your shop. Pick a couple of long-term customers. Make sure that you're still, taking good care, not taking them for granted, right? And make sure that you've got that mix happening when you're interacting with your customers and looking at the feedback that you're getting. Statistics show that if a customer visits you 3 times, then as long as they don't move away or what have you, that you've probably got a lifetime customer. But those first 3 visits that a customer is making to your shop are extraordinarily vulnerable. If at any point in those visits you make a mistake that you don't recognize or remediate, you lost that customer.
And those customers cost too much money, and they're too valuable to let them go away.
I have to tell you, this was an incredible drill. It's the top of the hour. We're gonna call it quits. I was actually 10 minutes ago going to say, do you all have some final thing to say? But you all just summed it up so perfectly for me, and I loved it. It was like even though the subject was managing an online review, this was a customer service drill.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,